Good morning. It's 11:01, and we will now open the call to order of the board. Are there any general comments that anybody on the board would like to make? None? Do we have any public comment? No? Nobody likes to come to us. They just like to come to the council. And again, we're always delighted when the council members are here. So thank you for attending. So with that, is the mayor coming today? Do we know? Or Sheila, you're it?
I got you.
Oh, good. So, well, you can come up here if you want.
No, I'm good.
You're good back there.
I was up there once this morning.
Okay, if there are no comments from either the board members or the general public, we're going to recess into an executive session in accordance with 1 VTCA Government Code 551.086 and 552.133 on competitive matters of LP&L, and 2nd VTCA Government Code 551.071 seeking the advice of and consultation with LP&L's attorneys on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Government Code, and seeking advice of its attorneys about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and 3 VTCA Government Code 551.074 to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, and/or duties of a public officer or employee, the Director of the Utilities, the Chief Administrative Officer, and the General Counsel.
Likewise, the City Council will hold an executive session today for the purpose of consulting with the city staff regarding competitive matters of the public power utilities under Section 551.086 and 552.133 of the Texas Government Code. Somebody cut me off. Okay. Government Code, and pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offers, and hold consultation with attorneys under Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, and personnel matters under Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code.
Thank you, Councilwoman Powerson. And let the record note that we do have a quorum for this, and looks like you've got a quorum also of the council members. And Mitch, we're glad you're here today. Thank you. What are your favorite duties, right? Very favorite. Right answer. And Courtney, we're glad you're here. And Jarrett, always for you. And Blue, keep counting that money, right? Okay, let's adjourn. We're going to the second floor. Is that correct?
He's back here. Back there. He can't.
It is now 12:28, and the Electric Utility Board will come back into open session. The first order of business, number 7 on your agenda, is to approve the minutes from the regular Electric Utility Board meeting on February 20th. Do I have a motion to that effect? Second. Mr. Schultz moved. Mr. Wilson second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The motion carries 8-0. Number 8, Harvey, is that you? Yes. And let the record note, we're delighted it's you today.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I want to welcome you to the first day of spring. So welcome. And a couple things, just so we can hear it in public. We're almost 2/3, a little past the halfway mark on our transition, the historic transition for the first municipal to voluntarily elect into retail competition, and we are halfway through the month on that process. Things are going well. More to come on that. You'll hear more about that. They'll be presented by Clint. We also had a meeting of our kind of with a new mission now with our customer engagement committee, and we'll hear more about that. Dr. Fields is gonna tell us more about that. And also with that in mind, I'm going to be asking, just to kind of put it in your notes, for the Finance Review Committee, I'm going to be looking for an opportunity either on Monday, July 1st or Tuesday, July 2nd, for a chance to go over the budget process. So Joe will be bringing the budget process, and that's going to be coming up either on July 1st or 2nd. So I'll put out more of an official notice to the FRC asking for that time. And with that, that's all I have, unless there's any other questions from the board. I will hand it off to Mr. Clint to talk about retail competition.
Number 9 on our agenda, Clint, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Let's see, I've got some slides. Just going to go over a little bit and just tell you how we're doing on the transition to retail competition. As Harvey said, we are halfway through the month, a little over halfway. We're let's see, we're on cycle 13 today. Out of 20, we really have 21, but 19 doesn't have anything in it. So out of 20 cycles, we're on 13. It's about, I'm going to guess about 55% is the number of meters that we have transitioned. So anyway, it's everything's going good. Let me show you this right here. We'll start with just the updates on this. This tells you a little bit the Lubbock retailers. To date, we have flight tested 137. And let me tell you, this was made on Friday. So I know this morning I got a list of 10 more who have flight tested that have been approved to go with us. We had some yesterday that also were going to. So that number is already up to almost 150 who have flight tested with us. Now, that's just the ones who have flight tested. That means they can get in if they want to or they don't. But out of those, we have 85 signed access agreements. Now, it says 85 of them. What that is, that's like Vistra. They have so many things under them. They have TXU and then a lot of companies under them. NRG has Reliant, Direct Energy, all that. That's what that 85 number is. So what we did is we just kind of condensed it down to how many companies are really in retail competition, and that would be 41 who are actually the parent companies and that type of thing. So we have 41 individual reps in here. This next slide is a slide just kind of showing how they are, how many have been transitioned, how many still are yet to be transitioned, simply because of the cycle, the billing cycle that they are in. So the way I've got it, I figured this up a while ago, and with this right here, now this is going through cycle 11. We transitioned so far 48,487, and that left us with 59,168 to go. So the last 2 days, yesterday was cycle 12, today is cycle 13. I think yesterday was a big one, about 8,000 meters or easy IDs. So we're probably, that's where I get the 55, about 55%. Everything is actually going well. You can see some here on the very end, like rep number 41, has no connects to them yet. That's because they just got in. They haven't had time to sign anybody up. So anyway, that's how they were counted. Just during this transition, we decided that we had to return our deposits to our customers. So what we did, we had on record 19,059 deposits, roughly $4.5 million. So we had those. We have to return them, and what we're doing is returning in the form of credit on their bill. So some of them saw it in February 1st. We put it out there on their bills, and then they saw it during the month of February, and then the others saw it March 1, and now they're seeing it on their bill as they come all through the month. Whenever the cycle is, that's when they'll see the bill.
Clint, does that 4.5 million that goes back to those folks, does that show up on our balance sheet, or will it be in February it will show up? Thank you, Casey.
Yes, it will. I love it. Okay, so anyway, if somebody has just electric service, they have a deposit, their bill is not as big as the deposit, what we'll do is we'll credit their bill to zero and then send them a check for the rest. If their bill if they have all the city services of Lubbock, what we'll do is we'll credit electric first. If there's anything left, it goes over to the rest of the services. So anyway, it's all, they're getting their money back. That $4.5 million is theirs, and so anyway, it's they're getting it back. So that's what we're doing there. Just a little more information that I'll give you is right now the transactions between us, ERCOT, and ESG, which is the engine between us and ERCOT, everything is going really good. We have minor issues, that happen from time to time, but they're being addressed immediately. Just right on the spot. We have them done most of the time before the day is through. So anyway, we have some cleanup to do on some things, but everything is going good there. Dual meter, you may have heard something on, I saw it on social media myself, something about dual meters. If a customer had 2 meters, some weren't being billed. Well, that's right, or weren't being switched over, but that's right, but that's because they didn't tell the rep they had 2 meters, or the rep didn't see they had 2 meters. It's not anything that LP&L did. It's something that was on the other side. So what we did is we, to fix the problem or the issue, we took it upon ourselves and we called every retailer that had a meter in that situation and told them, hey, there's a meter here that is associated with that account. You might want to call them and sign that meter up. So we got through all that, so it went well. So anyway, we're trying to do as much as we can to get everything a smooth transition for not only us, but the retailers and the customer. One thing that's given us a little bit of trouble at times is Itron, our meter reading system. They have something in the chip, I believe, is I don't know. It affects our meter read rate, which means in the market we have to hold a 98 to 99% read rate. That's just the way it is. We have to. Here lately, it's been, and the good thing is, we haven't transitioned a lot of these people, but it's been in the 80s. So we've been working with Itron, and we're just about hopefully have that worked out. The read rates are now coming back up. There's some things we're going to have to do with it, but right now we're just trying to get through the transition and keep going. So anyway, everything's going good there. The last thing that I'll brief you on is Smart Meter Texas. Now what that is, it's a portal to where the customers and the retailers get up-to-date information on their account or their record, including reads, interval usage, service order status, to the current rep of record. The timeline on this is either going to be late 2024 or early 2025. So right now we're in talks with Smart Meter Texas, IBM, and TMG, who helps us make the transition to that. But we're working on that as quick as we can. But that's just a big part. That's a huge thing. So it's hard to take it on right now as we're going through transition. So we will get that up and going. It should make everything a lot easier for number one, my staff over here, because they're having to do some, they have to send a file daily out to each rep, which is, it's just a batch being sent out. But with Smart Meter Texas, it'll all be done automatically. So anyway, it's a good thing. It's coming up, and we'll be coming back to y'all probably in a couple of months to go over the contract and everything with that. That's really all I have to talk to you. Other than that, kudos to all the personnel working on it. It's a lot of extra hours they're putting in time that it's just crazy, but they're doing a great job. good attitudes. They know what we have to do, and they're really getting it done. So, you know, the cream always rises to the top, and this is the cream. Let me tell you what, they're doing a fantastic job. So it's not just the team on the market ops, which they're doing fantastic, but it's every department that touches that. It's amazing how it's not just the market operations, it's the billing, it's the collections, it's the dispatch, it's the hill. Everything works together on it, and everybody is working really well. So it's a kudos out to over 300 plus employees for getting this done. But anyway, that's really all I have on retail market, and I'll be glad to answer a couple of questions if you have them.
Clint, I've got a question, just to kind of clarify my understanding. All of the Easy IDs have either been transitioned to a service provider or have been assigned.
That's correct.
Okay, and in situations where an account has multiple meters, we've corrected those where that account will have one service provider.
If that's what they chose.
Okay,
If that's what they chose. Now, they could choose two providers, depending on whatever that Easy ID or that meter is used for. I mean, if you have a shop out in the back of your yard and you only work on it nights and weekends, well, that's the rate you're going to go to. So you're going to look for a rep that does free nights and weekends.
okay,
So, I mean, so yes, overall, I mean, mostly you're correct.
okay. I just want to make sure we don't have any meters that's sitting out there falling through the cracks.
We hope not. We hope not. If we do, we will find out, I promise you. And we'll take care of it. But we think we have everything done.
Okay.
We feel very confident.
Are there any other risks as far as the completion of the transition that we should know about? Any scams out there?
No, I mean, there's always going to be, you know, complaints about vendors coming to their house at night and things like that. I talked to a vendor the other day that said that they sold solar for LP&L. So I had a good little conversation with him. It was real fun. Till the very end when he found out who it was. And but he didn't know. He thought he really was selling for LP&L. So that comes from the company. It comes from the head up. So anyway, some things we need to work on. But
Okay.
Dr. Fields, we don't foresee anything that's really going to stop this program.
Okay.
You know, right now the ITRON situation, the AMI situation, the meter reads, that is for everybody. I mean, that it's not just us; it's everyone across the country. What started this problem right here is their server went down and no reads could get to, I believe it was Las Vegas, where their network was, where their head network was.
Okay.
So that's what caused the first problem, and it just kind of trickled down. So we're still working through that, getting the reads back up to 98, 99%, which is where it was for 2 months or a month before we started transition.
Okay.
So anyway, you know, as soon as we start transition, it kind of goes down. But Murphy's Law, but we'll get through it. You know, we're keeping a positive attitude, and we'll get there.
Well, I think it's a tag team. I want to say thank you to the LP&L staff that was present at the Customer Engagement Committee meeting on yesterday. Clint and his staff gave a very informative presentation to us of some of the things that are being considered to assist our customers in their electric, water, garbage, and sewer service. As we found out yesterday, that they are going to be looking at across the board, across all utilities, as opposed to just the electric side. And so I think they did an excellent job of that. We did ask that committee, and I'll let Clint kind of clarify some of this. We asked them to prioritize those items as far as giving us some more clarity on the cost as well as the timeline. Some things can be implemented in a brief period of time, and others may take several years.
Sure.
So hopefully in the future, that will be coming back before the board. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that the LPNL staff was understanding was the number of calls that are going through the call center now. I'm just going to use the round figure, 30,000 plus a month. If we're only answering 1/3 of those calls, then we've got a lot of things going on that we need to work on. And I want to make sure that we don't pretend like we don't have a problem, that we actually have a plan to address the calls. And I understand call transfers, tying up the lines. If it's staffing, then I think we need to say, hey, we need more people. If it's retention of staffing, I think we need to look at a plan to try to retain those employees, whatever it is. If it's technology, whatever we need to do to throw at it to solve the problem, that's what I think we need to consider doing. Thank you, Mr. Quinn.
I think he said it all. I mean, he is so correct. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're looking at. We got a lot of things to think about. Some new things ever since that meeting that have come into my mind that, you know, I've written down things to look at and possible solutions to the problem or to the issue. But anyway, we will continue to do that. We are going to prioritize some things that we need. Number one is, you know, staffing. Number two is technology. Well, I shouldn't say number two. Another one is technology, such as AI, chat feature, whatever we're going to do. More incoming lines to the call center. The only problem with that is you have to have the people to answer them. So we've got to look at that solution, and that's something that I was thinking about last night, this morning. There's some things that really came to mind, and I got excited about thinking about what we could do there and possible solutions. So we'll talk more about that later. But maybe the IVR customized. We're going to have to customize it for this new. We're not just LPNL. We're everything, but we're not. We have to take the electric part out of it as far as looking at the bills and stuff as far as the IVR goes. So we need to revamp the IVR and kind of take a look at that, and we will. I've already talked to the director of director of IT. So anyway, we're having a meeting tomorrow. I have a meeting once a month with all the directors of the city of Lubbock and our people. So anyway, kind of bring them in, see how we can help, see what they have going on. I do that. That'll be tomorrow, and then IT and I are talking after that. But, there's just a lot of things. We've got to educate our customers on several topics. We need to do some things for employee morale, and that's simple things that we can do, and we're going to start doing those. But overall, we just need to prioritize some things and get back with the committee. The committee was very helpful. They gave us a lot of things to think about, and very appreciative of them taking their time and visiting with us and telling us what they had. I also had my supervisors there, and let me tell you what, when you say don't be afraid to talk, you really don't have to say that with that group. So anyway, it was very good. They had a lot of good points and brought up some good conversation. So that's exactly what we needed. So anyway, again, thank you for your time and for helping us, and we'll be working with you in the future a lot more closely.
Thank you, Clint. And Solomon, a special shout out to you for your leadership on this committee, because it's hard, and you're doing a great job, and you're bringing a little sunlight on the issue. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, this will be for January. Okay, so looking at our cash, we increased in cash about $12.7 million. Looking at our cash flows for the month, so in our operating activities, you're going to see a negative cash flow of $59.1 million. That's going to be your SPS settlement payment of the $65 million. So in just a second, when we move down, we'll see that refunded by bonds. If you pull that $65 million out, we're actually up $6.5 million in operating cash from payments. In our our financing activities, you're going to see a negative cash flow of $4.2 million. That's going to be all CIP expenses. And then in our cash flows for investing activities, you're going to see a positive $76.3 million. That's going to be the refund of the $65.6 million on the SPS payment. And we also had a $10 million drawdown for refunds on CIP expenses from bonds. And you can also see that reflected in our restricted investments. So you can see that in our balance sheet, we have a decrease of $75.4 million. So that's just how it's being reflected on our balance sheet. In our liabilities, we had a decrease of $61 million. So that is the SPS settlement payment actually being paid and coming off of our payables. And then we also had a decrease in our deferred revenues. We were under-collected for the month of January, so that's going to be a driver there as well. But overall, in our total net position, we're up $4.9 million just from last month. Looking at our ratios, so the increase in cash did cause an increase in our days cash on hand. We went from 178 to 196. Our operating ratio decreased from 0.924 to 0.875, and that's going to be because we did see higher usage in January, so we did have an increase in operating income. We also had an increase in operating expenses, but it wasn't as great as the increase we saw in operating income. And then with the SPS payment coming out of our payables, we can see that our current ratio went from 1.06 to 1.97, which is almost 2 times. So it's going back up to where it should be. Looking at our income statement and actuals to budget. So we're coming in, we should be about 33% of our budget for January. We're coming in right at budget in our departmental expenses, T costs, and our hold harmless payment. Our charges for services are coming in slightly over budget at 43%. And then we do have our purchase power expenses coming in over budget at 52%. One thing I wanted to talk to y'all about, so this is our transition year. These numbers might look a little wonky because when I do, our budget, I just take our total budget and divide it by 12. Obviously, that's not how that's going to happen this year, because we're going to be in a purchase power business for half the year and then in the market for the other half of the year. So I'd really pay attention this year to our operating income. And we are at 29% of our budget right now, which if y'all remember last month, we were only at 12% of our budget for the operating income. So it is falling more back in line with where it should be. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Number 12, who gets to do the AT&T contract?
I just want to touch on, let me get up here. I want to touch on one thing. So Casey walked through one of the issues that were going to occur this year in our financial statements that were going to really cause a fluctuation that she walked you through really well, and that was the SPS payment of the $65.7 million. When we talked a little bit, the next thing coming is when she goes through the April financials, that's when you'll see the transition of the money coming into LP&L from our customers starting to drop off, and then you'll see the delivery rate component come in. So we're going to do a special presentation when we get to the month of April, because April is when the bills for March come in. So April is going to start reflecting the financial activity, what's occurring right now in the month of March. So we're going to kind of do a demonstration to just show you in the month of April what's transitioning out of our retail as we get into now becoming a transmission distribution utility. So we'll walk through that. I just want to prepare you for that. So you're seeing, and these are things, again, It's kind of hard for me because I get excited about it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime transition. You do not see this transition ever occur in your books. So you're going to see a historical transition as Casey shows you the month of April and watch the transition of, as your retail revenues drop off, your delivery revenue comes in, and then she's going to come over to May and say, here's what the new world will look like. This is what it's going to look like as a delivery company, a TDU. And that's going to happen about the same time that Joe's going to be coming up saying, and here's what our budget for next year is going to start looking like. So you're going to get some information as we walk through to show the transition of your financials to the new post-retail world about the same time that Joe's going to come up and say, and here's your budget for that new world perspective. So just a preview of coming attraction on that one.
So this is almost a reverse half Nelson is what you're telling us with the changes.
It's a partial full Nelson, half of a full Nelson, which is a half Nelson. Okay, I just want to bring before you number 12, and this is our agreement with AT&T pole attachments to LP&L assets. This is an agreement that was originally set on between SPS XL back in 1972 and AT&T. In 2007, that agreement between SPS and AT&T was revised or updated with rates at the time. When we purchased the assets in 2010, that contract novated over to LP&L and became our contract. And in 2022, that contract was brought to an end. And in the intervening 2 years, huge credit to legal staff and operations to pull together and work diligently with AT&T to establish a new agreement. And that's what's before the board today is that new agreement. So I will, and that is before you in a resolution to agree to. So any questions on the AT&T contract?
There were a couple of things that I have talked to Kelly about. There was a section about confidentiality, that it's to the extent of the law, we're open records type thing.
Right.
And then probably on 7.03, to me, that's probably one of the most important things because we reserve the right without liability to discontinue the use, remove, replace, or change the location of any or all of its poles, regardless of any occupancy, as applicable to the proposed removal or relocation of any pole. That one's important, as I understand it. It was explained to me. That gives us, as we want to remove lines from AT&T poles, we can do that. So that's a real critical one as we move forward to clean up the alleys and all of those type things. So I just wanted to point that out. And even the indemnification part of this contract, we have worked that out on the extent of the law because cities really can't indemnify. And Kelly has done a wonderful job. She talked to AT&T and got things cleared up and in a memo of record that she'll have that all memorialized for us. So thank you for that. But I just wanted everybody to know that. And then the other thing is the audit that we're completing from Davy and Company, Davy Resource Company. What we're using kind of is old information, and that audit will apply to this contract. AT&T is working with us on that, so we'll have correct numbers.
Correct.
So with that clarification, are there any other questions about this contract?
So move.
Dr. Fields moves. Second, Mr. Wilson. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries 8-0. Good job.
Great.
A 50-year replacement.
Yeah.
On the consent agenda, is there anything that anybody would like to move up? I'm going to request that number 13 be moved up to regular open session. So who will be doing, and then 14, 15, 16, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and accept those on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to that effect? Mr. Schultz made the motion. Mr. Harville second. All those in favor, please say aye. 8-0. All those against, It's 8-0, and then number 13, who will be doing that? Harvey, are you the poll guy too?
I'll be poll today, and I'm in the poll position, I guess. Sounds bad. So with Davie Resources, this is to establish a complete audit of, and this is basically an addition to this. So we had originally about 63,000 polls to be audited by Davie Resource Group for $396,000. We have another 1,400 polls to be audited that we needed to extend that by, so there was another $8,937.50 to basically cover the balance of about 1,480 polls, so for a total of a little over 64,830 polls. This is to complete an audit and create a baseline for exactly how many attachments are on our poll. This will include how many AT&T attachments are on our polls. That has not been this type of an audit or a baseline has not been done for over 10 years and maybe longer than that. So this is to establish that. That also helps us in a lot of ways to establish safety and reliability on our polls. It also helps us to recoup the cost of attachers on our polls and make sure that that is correct. So this request, what's before the board right now, is the request to add an additional $8,937.50 onto the agreement and extend it to $405,000.
And Harvey, is that audit, is that an eyes on the polls are going down and looking and marking it? It's
That's
not
a physical, yes. That's a physical line of sight.
physical line of sight.
Correct.
So for the first time in who knows how many years,
Correct.
we'll have this, and this is the transmission lines as well as distribution lines. Is that correct?
This is going to be, I believe, just for our distribution lines, but Blair I believe it's just for distribution.
It is transmission and distribution.
Oh, it is transmission and distribution. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so it's both.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
On transmission poles that had distribution on them.
Okay. Got it.
okay. So,
Transmission pole that had distribution underbuild, it was included in the audit.
okay, but they're physically looking at it and counting.
That is correct.
And then once we get that audit, then we'll square up everything, and then we'll work with AT&T.
And our other
on-
attachers.
On all of our attachment owners.
That's correct.
Are there any other questions about this one? And this started January 17th, so we should be close to being done.
That is correct.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to
So
accept
moved.
that resolution? Mr. Fields makes the motion. Second by Mr. Wilson. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion passes 8-0. And now, we can, is there a motion to let Harvey run the next meeting and to send Mr.
No, that's
Ivy
okay.
to
That's
another
okay.
meeting?
That's really okay.
That motion dies for lack of a second. We'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.